This week on the Droids, we talk about the Mandalorian Season 2 casting rumors, a little bit of a check-in on how all the droids are doing, as well as listener emails, reviews, talking all about that, and oh so much more this week on the Droids.
Wait, hold on, I'm going to snap. Chris? I wasn't recording. All right, and now 1, 2, 3, we can make sounds.
No, wait, we just got to go back. Welcome back to the Droids. You're looking for a Star Wars podcast. Along Chris, Ryan, and Sam, I am Mike, and we're back to talk about the Mandalorian Season 2 rumors. Obviously, production has halted on everything, but that doesn't mean the rumor mill has ended. There's conversations about who's going to be in Season 2, what the direction of that show may be, or are we getting in another series outside of the Mandalorian on Disney Plus focused on another Star Wars character. So much to talk about with that. We are going to return to our part 4 of our breakdown of Duel of the Fates. We have that scheduled for next week on the podcast. We just had to take care of some other business here as everything else is going on. But before we get all that, let's
Sam
get a
has
check-in.
bitten through his bottom lip.
Yeah. This is difficult for Sam. The
This
lack
is
of
maybe
continuity.
the third time we've said that show is coming.
Well, actually, I think we did part 3 last week, so, you know, we got it in there.
I mean,
I want to know
once we get
from
through
our
the
listeners,
litigation.
Do our listeners share my level of OCD that as a podcast like obsessed individual, I download massive swaths of podcasts I haven't listened to all at once in order, and whenever there are multi-part series that have other things interjected, and I have to then hunt around and like try and read titles of episodes. Am I alone?
Massive
Am I alone?
swaths. So when everybody goes to the grocery store and they can't find any podcasts on the shelves, it's 'cause Sam's hoarding them.
He's hoarding the massive swaths.
Yeah.
No, I never mind that things are out of order. I mean, if I'm looking forward to it, which, you know, maybe people are.
Well, that's
looking
the thing.
forward
Is
to
I
our Duel of the Fates Part 4. Maybe
I
they
think
are.
we're doing a little theatrics here. We're building suspense.
Here's the thing. First off, from all the droids, we hope everybody's staying safe and healthy out there. During the quarantine lockdown time, I think it's more that there's a lot of time to fill. So, you know, keep people's excitement up for the Duel of the Fates, Part 4.
Also,
Yeah.
I do want to thank you guys for all getting together in person in this park today.
No, Sam.
It's
Sam, that's
good
not
to
us.
see.
Sam, that's not us.
Huh?
Oh, no. Sam, those were 3 bears.
We forgot a mic, so I just climbed up here on Chris's lap. And
We're shouting.
Easy mistake.
To our listeners, we're actually right by your ears, screaming
said,
at
I'll
you.
work the pedals, and you could steer.
And if we want to see an R-rated movie, we'll stand on each other's shoulders and wear a big trench coat.
Yeah, they won't. We're both. You guys can't see us, but we're both very young looking.
What's a movie? Where do you go see a movie?
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, where are you
Well,
sneaking
we put
in?
on the trench coat and we go outside, then we get there and it's closed.
Has anybody else thought about breaking in a theater? You know, I mean, you've got free
yes.
reign right now.
Yes.
I
hope
did
that
actually
does-
see an article.
Tell you
that,
who my first suspect will be.
I did see an article about a
Declare
museum that closed, and like 2 days later, a Van Gogh was stolen from
Wow.
inside
Oh,
the
really?
museum because people knew that like the museum was closed and the guards were all at home because of the quarantine. So somebody I was like, oh man, it's open season for art thieves.
You know, speaking of suspects, I'm pinning this on Pierce Brosnan. Let's just be
Yeah,
honest.
exactly. I wonder where
I was
that...
led to believe there was always one portly security guard spinning a flashlight. on the TV.
Exactly.
I think that
He's
is
still
his. I think that the Thomas Crown Affair is probably his second or third best Bond movie. Out of,
I like that. I'm
It's
still
a good
trying to
movie,
figure
I
out
like
how he folds that painting. I think the thing is, as long as you don't go in the light of the security guard, then you won't get caught. I was just gonna say, I wonder where it Van went.
wait, what was that a callback to?
The Van Gogh painting.
Oh,
Oh,
nailed it.
oh
Okay.
boy. Okay. Here we
We'll
go.
put that- we'll cut that.
And back in.
So how are you guys doing? How is everybody holding up?
You know,
Hanging in
one
there.
day at a time.
Hanging in there is the phrase that gets thrown around a lot.
I'm kind of wishing, if anything, we could just freeze ourselves in carbonite until this is over.
Oh, that would be nice.
Freeze our what?
We don't know that much about Star Wars. We don't
Wait,
know that
by the
in
way,
depth.
I'm running out of room in my freezer.
I am
If you know what I mean.
making my way through Clone Wars. I'm in season 3. I've still got a long way
Nice.
to go.
Sure.
But the Clone Wars obviously happens before the original trilogy. We know that. That's after Attack of the Clones, before the Revenge of the Sith. There is an episode.
You want heavy duty Star Wars analysis. You came to the right
to the
place.
Droids.
The Clone Wars clearly takes place before.
Ryan, if you let me get to my point, there'll be a reason
please
why
do.
I called that out.
Please do.
There's a mission where they go to rescue someone from a prison. One of the other Jedi Masters that's been imprisoned on a planet. They freeze all themselves in carbonite to sneak their way onto the planet and not be detected on a ship. Now, we're led to believe...
a plot hole.
We're led to believe in The Empire Strikes Back that this is the first time they have ever tested freezing someone in carbonite. Now, Anakin is on that mission where he was frozen in carbonite.
Well, so Anakin is a little different. Maybe one day he's like, "Hey, I have this idea," and everyone's like, "You already made it. They already did it." And he's like, "I have an idea."
He specifically says, though, he doesn't know if it'll work, right?
Exactly.
Well, here's something we can do, Mike. We can cut off your legs and one of your arms and burn you alive and see if you remember everything you did before.
Like, Sam is standing above Mike right now. That is true.
I mean, I'm just saying.
that
Sam
was
has
like
an
the
little
8-foot sword.
Was that a little dark?
Sam has an 8-foot sword because he wants to be safe.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
He's-
That's good. It has been disinfected.
It had to only be a 6-foot sword, but out of an abundance of caution, Sam said, "Give me 2 more feet on that guy."
Just how I
I
order
think
my
I'm
No,
going
this
to
is
reach
Subway.
out to the story group and pose this question. I think it's a worthy question to ask, because it's not like there are enough people online, tweeting at Matt Martin asking him for plot holes and the reason something's canon or is it not canon. So let me just add to that entire
I think that's fair.
force that's getting thrown.
To you, our listeners, if you have reasons or explanations, please let us know. You can email us, droidspod@gmail.com, tweet us at droidspod, Instagram us at droidspod, follow us on YouTube. Watch Ryan's playthrough of Jedi Fallen Order.
We can stop.
No,
Jedi Fallen
pushing this thing to the end, man. You got
Ryan, do a replay.
Yeah, do a replay.
Now might be the time.
Yeah, see if you can beat your time. We got a lot of free time on our hands.
I'm going to start a
so-
speed run
I
of
was gonna
Jedi
say,
Fallen Order.
can
I
you
think
do
I'm
it?
going to come in around 9 hours.
But so hit us up with your explanations. Why, if Vader knew about, or Anakin knew about carbonite freezing, why was he being so coy?
Do you think that's what he was being coy?
Yeah, I think he was like, I don't know if it's
They were
gonna
like, "Will
work."
it work?" And he was like, "Maybe."
Yeah, they
We'll
said, "Oh,
see."
I'm a genius. Look what I invented."
His concern about his son not being ready for the journey to the Emperor, it was all just a ruse.
Yeah, somebody told him he couldn't make it.
Oh, right. They were testing it on Han to see
Yeah.
if it would work on Luke.
That's
right?
the
Yeah,
entire construct of it. That's
Yeah.
why this Clone Wars episode really gnawing at my jaw.
Or maybe
Whoa.
we have.
Hey, this is a family
Hey, well,
pod.
Wait a second. Oh boy.
I kind of paused Clone Wars, just not intentionally, not for any reason. Like while we're all working remotely, my work has been particularly crazy. I think I know a lot of.
Is it
people
because your dad's not caught up?
I'm almost there. I
am-
watched one episode last week.
I am living at home with my parents. I don't know if that's on record for the pod. Thanks, Ryan.
I thought you mentioned it last time.
I probably did. I can't remember.
It's canon. It's
yeah, we can
canon.
get it
But
if you want.
But I did start watching. The Rival Space series. I started watching Picard, and so like I kind of derailed my watch through. But I'm
Wow.
up about halfway through season 5, and Mike, I got to tell you, that's a great pull. There's definitely going to be a few more like head scratchers in terms of like canon. But my God, I just think the Clone Wars keeps getting better and better. I'm so excited to get caught up and get to like where we're at today.
yeah, I
One
just
of
started
these days
watching.
when I have a lot of time, I'm gonna sit down and watch the Clone Wars.
I think
I
it
just
has put in
started-
stark contrast. Everybody who said, if only I had the time, all the things I would do. And here we
Yeah,
are.
as soon as I finish my novel.
I
Chris-
started just watching the new episodes, just regardless, and the little recaps give some big spoilers, so I'm like, oh, man. But
Well,
it's
Chris,
all right.
I'm kind of curious, maybe not necessarily plot points, but what have you thought about the overall production value and what they've done so far in the latest season?
It's looked really fantastic. I mean, I think they definitely have upped the game with the animation, and just kind of the action sequences are like, it's like motion picture level action sequences they have now. And the quality of it is just top notch, sound effects wise and visually. I think it looks like they definitely figured out over the last decade or so how to make these, and now they're almost at movie quality CG animation movies.
Wow.
You know what I love is that they committed in the new ones to Anakin's bad Episode 3 hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone also.
Yeah.
There is an overall aging effect of everyone too. Some people have there's more lines in their face, and they're a little more battle worn, which is also a very cool detail. Because a lot of times in cartoons, it's the character looks the same no matter what time it is, but this actually shows a little bit of time elapsing, and the world, you can tell, has changed a little bit too. So it's a very cool series ending season, just to see how it's elapsed time in that respect.
Also, when they do update animation, I feel like it's often simplifying it. It's oh, they changed animation houses and made the line work simpler.
Right.
Whereas this is getting better. I think
Yeah.
when I'm curious, I can't remember when it happens in the regular run of the original, the first 6 seasons, but in season 5, Anakin has hair that is longer than when the series started, but shorter than where it is in this new season. So they definitely updated the character models, and at some point, in one of the episodes I watched recently, a week or two ago, everybody was wearing their Jedi robes, and the robe animation was crazy good, and I was like, oh, I think they got a little bit of budget this season, more than they had before.
Yeah.
So it's fun to watch it get better and more entertaining.
Sam, this leads me to believe that we're on our way to a sequel to your jacket segment, Robes.
Oh, baby. Especially during quarantine, we should be talking robes all the time. You're right.
I think this could be the rise of the robes.
If we would have made that trip to Galaxy's Edge before we were all set in quarantine, I think I'd be wearing my Obi-Wan robes every day.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
My $800 Obi-Wan robes.
I'm
can still do it, buddy.
I got some old curtains. I'm gonna make my
Hey,
own.
it still might happen.
Well, Chris, you led us through all of the different channels that you can find us on social media. Also, don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes. As we've been saying over the last few podcasts, you rate, you review us on iTunes, we will read your review, good or bad.
Like Ron
Fortunately,
Burgundy.
we've not set ourselves up for any problems yet because we've gotten some really nice reviews, and we thank you to everybody who's put out the reviews recently. But I think we're
Stand
waiting.
by for our sobbing episode where we read all the negative reviews.
But we want to take a chance and read one of these reviews. As we said, we have to follow through on our promise. And as you know on the Droids, we never fall down on our promises. This is part 4 of our breakdown of the script of Duel of Fates. That's what we said. So this one is from Little Gray Bunny. This is a great review. It says, fun, clever, insightful. I listen to a lot of Star Wars podcasts. I started listening to The Droids You're Looking For after The Rise of Skywalker came out. I was so disappointed in The Rise of Skywalker that I sought out new Star Wars podcasts to fill my craving for more discussion about the movie's shortcomings and failings, which they delivered. And I have to say, I did the exact same thing. I was looking for a lot of other podcasts I wanted to listen to throughout this. I think we all did. Mm-hmm. Their conversations are informal, but not meandering and repetitive. I mean, that's very nice of you to say. I don't know that I agree, but that's very nice.
Perspectives vary.
That is nice of you to say. I don't know if I agree, but that
From
is
a
nice of you to say.
certain point of view.
These guys are funny, which makes them fun to listen to. Like me, they care about the craft of filmmaking, especially character arcs, story development, and continuity. They approach analysis of a script from a screenwriting and storytelling perspective, which I appreciate. They also seem to care about representation and female protagonists in Star Wars, which is something I also care about. Their discussions are clever and insightful, and they bring a great sense of humor to everything. That's what we're going for on this pod. So that just lifts all of us
That
in these
means
dark
a lot.
times.
Yeah.
Means a lot.
The
Yeah.
droids you're looking for have quickly become a favorite in my podcast rotation. It's not as deep or heavy on analysis as some of my other favorite Star Wars pods, but I love it because it's a fun and funny respite while also being clever and insightful. Little Gray Bunny, tip of our collective cat to you. Thank you so much. That
Thanks,
was such a
Little
That
Gray
means
Bunny.
a lot.
And we hope
means
that
a
you
lot.
tell the whole bunny family about it.
Yeah.
And that it really that's I mean, you sent that to us in a text this week. It was a real pick me up, in a dark time. That was really so
Yeah.
nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
And that's, as you said, Ryan, this is just something that makes us feel great. There will be a sobbing podcast at some point when someone comes through with a totally different
We'll
review.
read all the bad press.
Anyone
and
who wants
we'll,
to provide a valley for this emotional peak.
we'll read you all the lawsuits that we've got.
Does anyone feel
Well-
like the internet's gotten a little bit nicer recently? People
I
are
think-
just like,
yeah.
hey, I'm not putting it out there
I
while
think there's
things
a
are
little
so
more.
tough.
There's a little more cohesiveness.
I feel like I'm now
Hey.
asking for trouble, aren't I?
Hey, they mentioned being disappointed in the Rise of Skywalker. Well, we got a little piece of email here from our guy Tony, who has some different opinions on the Rise of Skywalker. Tony writes to us. He says, "Hey guys, I'm a little behind on the Droids cast. I'm getting caught up, so I apologize. But I saw that you were talking
We'll consider your apology.
But I saw that you were talking about the metachlorian idea. Here's why I love the idea of metachlorians being the means of force sensitivity. This goes back to our metachlorian debate a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. The Star Wars movies start out with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So basically, the idea that this happened within our universe... So basically, that this idea has happened within our universe. So why aren't we force sensitive? Because a force sensitive symbiotic microorganism evolved in Star Wars galaxy, but not ours yet that we know of. Clever. So for me, it helps me pretend that a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away is true, even though I know it's probably not. It makes it plausible, which is kind of fun. P.S. The Rise of Skywalker doesn't suck, in my opinion. Tony. There you go.
Lot to digest there.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Also,
keep
don't know
up.
how much of it was Chris interjecting.
What
Also,
was
though,
the email? What was Chris?
Yeah, we can all read it. No, I hear you, Tony. I think that is a fun way to look at it. to say-
Yes, I very much enjoy
yeah,
that.
yeah. That
I'm
would
also a midichlorian fan. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Man,
so-
am I the only holdout on this pod?
Well, we had
Yeah.
that whole discussion. Go back and listen to the discussion on said episode.
I think
Yeah.
it's, Mandalorian, midichlorians, and more? That's the
yeah,
name of the
I
episode?
think that. Yeah, I think, yeah,
We name episodes?
yeah.
Joking. I know.
Thanks for
Also,
that, Tony.
Tony,
Yeah,
Tony,
Thanks,
I
Tony.
want to say, yeah, thanks for the email. Also, just in terms of your closing remarks, the movie doesn't suck in your opinion. That's awesome, and I still have not revisited it since the first time in theaters because as we've said on the pod a bunch of times, it was a disappointment for me, but I've still got that sliver of hope that by the time I do get around and I'm craving a rewatch, I'm hoping that it's one of those scenarios where I've made it worse in my mind and then I can enjoy it more and I come to appreciate it. Maybe I've come to appreciate some of the prequels or some of the other things that I didn't like as much. But the fact that I think we kind of covered it when we started talking about the behind the scenes material that they published, that it's, a lot of love goes into this. A lot of hard work goes into making these movies. So while our opinion, is, we're out front with it. We kind of trash the movie because we didn't like it. It's great. I'm like, there's obviously room for all opinions. No
matter how wrong
I'm glad
they
you
are.
liked it. Yeah, no matter. Yeah.
I'm joking. Tony, I want people who enjoy movies, and I'm glad you did.
I'm glad you liked The Rise of Skywalker. I'm glad that you liked Godfather Part 3. I'm glad you love that. Oh man, what's the Ben Affleck J-Lo movie? Geely. I'm glad you liked Geely. I'm glad that Justice League was your favorite superhero movie.
Did anyone else see the
No.
HBO Max April Fool's joke?
no.
They
Oh, boy.
said they were.
I thought we were
Did they
putting a
snipe?
moratorium on
Oh,
April Fool's jokes.
you would have
this year.
thought so.
Yeah,
but it didn't happen.
I thought April Fool's
HBO
was
Max
canceled.
said they would release the Snyder cut of Justice League and even made a mock-up poster.
Wow. Well,
Oh,
maybe
man.
maybe it's not an April Fool's joke. I also saw going around that they were going to release.
I think releasing it will be the April Fool's
Maybe
joke.
this is where I got fooled, but I saw that it was going around that they were going to release the original cuts on Disney Plus. But that was also probably from Cosmic Book News or such source.
Well, Chris,
Really gotta start
you
checking
immediately
sources.
texted that, and I was like, oh, so excited. And then I went to look for all the other resources I usually find online, and no one was talking about it. And I'm like, well, don't have two sources, not our journalistic standards over here.
Check the spelling of news. There's 2 W's in that website.
Chris has been duped several times.
I can't get the CGI on those 2 characters in Avengers. I can't figure out what news is real.
Yeah, Chris still insists that Proxima Midnight was 2 people in a suit.
Well, thank you for that, Tony. And may the Force be with all of us.
Well, and so we thank Tony. We thank Little Gray Bunny. Be sure to rate and review us on iTunes. We will read your review. Email droidspod@gmail.com. Let us know, and we will obviously read those emails as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts on everything in the Star Wars Galactic Cinematic Universe. And with that in mind, The Mandalorian Season 2 was well underway in production. We saw Jon Favreau posting some pictures already from the set. They were basically starting that before Season 1 even finished airing on Disney Plus, with it spreading out over the course of 8 different weeks and into December. And there was the release date planned for this October. That's unlikely now. I would be surprised if anything in the next 6 months that was supposed to come out that was still under production actually does come out. So we'll wait and see when The Mandalorian Season 2 does arrive. But 2 very prominent rumors, I think one probably in a much bigger role than the other. We'll start with the first one. The rumor that came from Slash Film, and we need to give credit where credit is due because Slash Film did break this news. Rosario Dawson is in talks to play Ahsoka Tano in a live-action version of Ahsoka, with her playing the entire role without Ashley Eckstein voicing the character. It would be Rosario Dawson, which I think makes sense, despite the fact that Eckstein has obviously made that character and built that character and been the voice. When you bring it to live action, to dub it over just would be incredibly strange. So,
especially when it's like Rosario Dawson.
You're not hiring Rosario Dawson to not speak.
She's like obviously an amazing actress, also like very famous. You can't. It'd be so so strange.
It would be.
I missed that was even something that people were speculating about. I mean, that would be wild.
Well, they did it with Darth Maul, but also like Ray Park is, I mean, like all respect to Ray Park. It's not like people would be like, that's not his voice.
Right.
That's not Toad from X-Men.
Well, and it also was what?
I forgot he was an
2 lines of dialogue at the end of Solo. I mean, it's not like they were going to have it be an entire film done that way.
Solo 2.
Hey, there was recent news about Solo 2. John Kasdan, son of good old Larry Kasdan, came out and said that there are no plans for a Disney Plus series, and that hits me deep because I'd love to see a series. I'd love to see some more.
I would love that as well. He's working on a Willow series, though, I believe, for Disney Plus.
And I think he also did a little bit on the new Indie,
but
he said his work on that was done. Anyway, back to Rosario Dawson.
There will
she's
be a Solo too.
Obviously such an incredible actress. The other rumor that has come out of this is that they would be doing potentially a standalone Ahsoka series, and she's not part of The Mandalorian Season 2. It's actually a series about Ahsoka, and she's starring in that. I honestly kind of would prefer that, but mostly because I don't know. I'm excited about more Mandalorian, but I'd be more excited about Ahsoka's story that seems to be expanding more lore rather than just individual adventures, which is great. It's awesome. But I want more to be built into the mythology.
If I'm not mistaken, Rosario Dawson was the fantasy casting for a long time, wasn't she?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Rosario Dawson fan. This would be exciting regardless. But when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, fans have been asking for that forever. And in my this choice does not annoy me that they listen to the fans on it, because she's such a good choice for that role. Especially an older, more mature one.
Yep.
Yeah, given some of the little bit of spoilers here, but given some things that happen in Rebels, I think there's a storyline there that would be amazing to see her portray.
Well, which is again, spoiler alert right now for the end of Rebels.
Oh boy.
I don't think this is that bad a spoiler for you, Sam. Just the idea that people are talking about Sabine as a live action Sabine as well, which Tia Sircar is amazing. I wouldn't mind seeing her because she voiced Sabine, correct? So if she were to take that role, I'd love that.
And that's happening more on an episode of Arrow or the Flat. I don't know. One of the Arrowverse things. Kevin Conroy played a multiverse version of Batman. It's the first time he's played a
that's awesome.
live action Batman after being the voice of Batman.
I haven't seen
forever.
that. I need to see that. That's awesome.
Hey man, there's time.
Yeah, you can watch anything you want.
Maybe Lucasfilm should just kind of like let the canon thing kind of fade away and just let these kind of universe conundrums happen.
Let the canon thing fade away.
I'd love to have a larger conversation about that.
I just mean the full. I just mean like the full on like everything has to be super interconnected. Just like let like how Star Wars was of old, where it's like other stuff can exist and it doesn't have to impact the other stuff.
Here's a fun little anecdote. I played charades with Tia Sircar once.
Wow,
that's
and
a real thing.
Was she a lovely person?
She was very nice. It was she was in this movie, The Internship, with I believe with Vince Vaughn. Yes, and I worked for this company, Movie Clips, and for promotion we played charades. She was very, very nice.
That's awesome.
Vince Vaughn was not there.
Did she?
I'm realizing as I say this isn't as interesting an anecdote as I thought it might be.
Did she give you a coin?
That's pretty cool.
She did not, unfortunately, give me a coin. But if you want to see it, go to YouTube and type in The Internship Movie Charades. And there it'll be.
All right. Look, we've talked about this enough on the pod about the coins. We do need to develop individual coins for each of us for the droids so that anytime we would meet someone in public who has heard of the Droids podcast, we give them the coins, which means we only need to produce like 3.
Yeah, like what? We each need to produce 3 to give to the other people in this podcast.
Look, there's economies of scale, Mike. We're gonna order a metric ton. Easy.
Speaking of stories that may not actually go anywhere, but I have to say, I did a podcast back in right out of college that was, and we all went to Penn State. It was focused on Penn State football. I was at a tailgate, and someone we didn't know heard our 2 voices from the pod, came up and said, "Are you Mike from Chicago and are you Mark from New York?" and recognized us from the pod. So it does happen, guys. And so let's get the coins made.
We're waiting for that. We're waiting for that moment in brighter days when the movie theaters are open. That we'll be standing in line, getting our popcorn, and somebody will say, "Hey, are you Sam, Chris, Ryan, and Mike from the Droids?"
Well, if we get,
and then we'll all go beep boop 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 and hand them our coins.
Interesting story. That's how Mike met his wife.
If we get in on it early enough, we could also be the currency of the new world.
Which, hold on, again, thinking about all this and all these delays right now, and we can get to the other Mandalorian news, but I do want to mention, with all this now time, remember when we talked about January would be when a new Star Wars film was announced, whether it was 2022, 2023. Kathleen Kennedy said Lucasfilm, January, that's when we're going to hear. That never
even
happened.
better, we got Project Luminous.
Yeah, we got Project Luminous. But none of that came to be. With this time currently where everyone's at home, I know it's harder maybe to work than being in person, especially if you're trying to brainstorm as a collective group. But with extra time, as this occurs, they should really be mapping out an entire series. They should be mapping out a long plan. They've got time. They don't need to rush anything into production. We should be getting the best version of whatever's next because they have the time. And I don't know if you all agree with that, or these are such difficult times we're all in that's maybe too much to ask of people.
Right. Well, I mean, based on how those virtual sets and stuff that they're making, I hope they come out of this with a movie. Oh, May comes around and says, "Hey, we finished it," because we could have one person standing in a room, and and all the robotic cameras filmed the whole thing.
We just mailed a camera to Ewan, and we said,
exactly.
"Do what you do."
Exactly.
No one knows Obi-Wan better than you.
It's incredible.
Was that Scottish?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure so no one really was offended
sorry.
by whatever they thought you did.
Am I alone in the belief that this should result in some great stories in the long run?
No, you're not alone at all.
Agree.
I think Lucasfilm as well. I think in the world this may, people are thinking, they're pondering. I think that this may lead to a lot of good stories after this is done. Also, I think that people will be, hopefully when we get through this, that everybody will be hungry to tell stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a nice mixed blessing for.
Good morning, Sam.
I think there's going to be a mixed blessing for films that were mid-production. Obviously, it's really, really hard to halt everything. There's a lot of people out of work. That's that are people who get paid day rates and things, and don't necessarily have the stable jobs to rely on that they can work from home in and stuff. But and so that's a huge negative impact. But there's this potential positive impact of those films that are in a position where things can start being kind of assembled and put together in parts, and you can kind of see where the gaps are. You can kind of see what's going. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of work being done from homes by editors and screenwriters and directors and people who are reimagining ways to punch up their movies or their scripts they're working on. So I guess, yeah, Mike, I don't know, maybe, because the big question is, who's getting paid during this time.
Well, yeah.
If you're not getting paid, then you might be, if you're hungry enough for it, you might be writing a great story to try and pitch later. But it's the writer's strike was when it was a time when a lot of bad stuff came out of people not working. So
I don't know. The beginning of season 3 of Lost is really my favorite 6 episodes of the whole series.
Is that after the writer? That was after the writer's strike.
That was during the writer's strike.
Oh, jeez, what happened during those?
That's when they're in the cages.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they were treading water there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, some film editor who has a home setup just got the best and worst news of their life, which is your deadline is now indefinite.
Yeah.
So they can work on it forever, and they can work on it forever.
That's giving someone a piece of marble and saying, make the best thing you can make out of this.
Other Mandalorian.
So should we talk about? Well, I was going to say, yeah.
The other
casting.
Mandalorian news was, or rumor, Jamie Lee Curtis could be in season 2 of The Mandalorian, and I'm failing to think of something that added Jamie Lee Curtis that didn't work out. Especially just watching her in Knives Out recently. She was so fantastic. There's times where you haven't seen an actor in a long period of time, and I know she's been in other films, but I just hadn't watched. I don't think I'd watched the most recent Halloween. But you're like,
great.
Yeah, this is why you're still just fantastic.
Awesome. The new Halloween
she's
is
one of those.
awesome.
Because she doesn't seem to work that often. She had done Scream Queens, that show recently, but she kind of chooses her roles carefully. It seems, and you're right. It's she's a person that you forget how great she is. And then you're like, oh, thank God she's in this.
Connected to Billy Lord in Scream Queens.
Yes.
Also, the fact she's also connected. You mentioned Knives Out. Noted film director, Star Wars director, and TV director.
It would make
of
sense.
one-off episodes. I mean, do we think we get a Rian Johnson episode? Of
Wow.
Whatever she's casting.
Oh, that'd be great.
That's
love that.
phenomenal theory.
We're
absolutely.
there's been a murder at the cantina, and this.
I'm
It would
sure
be
there will
Southern
be a
gentleman.
reference. I mean, he loves his references.
It would be something weird. It would be a one-off that would, be in, an entire episode that takes place in a cantina or something. There would be some angle to it.
Do we ever see who the mother behind the mask? Have we ever seen who she is?
I don't think so.
In The Mandalorian.
I know who the actress is, but
Yeah.
but no, we haven't seen her remove the mask on the show because Mandalorians don't remove their masks.
Well, some don't. I think perhaps maybe it's her. Maybe it's Jamie Lee Curtis.
I don't think they'll recast the woman who's playing the role. I think people like her. But and it would be weird to be they've done it in Star Wars. They've, poor David Prowse, they remove the helmet.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's
Star Wars
different
historically
actor.
is. And we found out what's his name was not in the helmet.
Right. But I think Jamie Lee Curtis is great. I think Rosario Dawson is great. And there's one more rumored casting news.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard this.
Ooh.
Michael Biehn.
Oh, that's right.
Of Terminator and Aliens, hoorah fame. Very, very much in the world of of smugglers and bounty hunters. You know, he'd be a great counterpoint for Carl Weathers, I feel, at this point, you know? Like,
if you need someone to fire off screen and then turn around and grimace, Mick Bean's your man.
They should just invite basically anyone that was in any like late 80s, 90s action movie. Just get like Kurt Russell and those like just get them all in the series.
But I think they are like, I think these casting rumors, if they prove to be true, you know, I do think these all show that some stars are, you know, putting faith in Disney Plus and specifically The Mandalorian. You know, it kind of confirms that it was a hit and that it, you know, made money, and they're expecting it to keep being a hit and making money. I'm
glad actors are finally taking Disney seriously. You know?
No, I
think they got some faith in their pocketbook, Sam.
Wonder how Dax is doing. Dexter.
You think he had to
play with
Dax Shepard? I wonder how Dax Shepard.
I was like, Dax Shepard seems to be fine.
Dexter Jetster.
Wonder how he's doing in the light of this. I hope he's doing to-go orders.
Also, just to jump back, Mike, you were talking about, you know, would you rather see a separate series? And I just want to say, in these dark times, how freaking great is it that we can speculate the idea of, what if there was a second live-action Star Wars series? And how great would that be? And we
starring
can debate
Rosario
the merits.
Dawson.
And then we can debate the merits and the pros and cons of having Rosario Dawson co-star in our existing live-action Star Wars series or headline her own Star Wars series. I mean, that's what a beautiful thing.
It's so surreal that we technically have 3 Star Wars series currently firm at Disney Plus and the potential for more. All of that. I mean, like, there are 3. Cassian Andor is happening. Obi-Wan is happening. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, all these production delays, but those are still on the docket.
Yep.
And yes, Sam, you are so right.
There you go, Sam. I said it once on the pod. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, okay. You know, it's Chris, you know, guys.
Actually,
like
Chris, I think you said...
Chris always said that one time on the pod.
I think you actually said, like, Star Wars is just beginning. I mean, just to get your quote right.
I have to change
it was in our... I think it was in our intro.
I have a poster of just inspirational things I've said. I have to change that.
Do you think before we do our Duel of the Fates Part 4 that we'll do a clip episode where we all get locked in the freezer?
Oh, right.
Yep.
Hey, boy, remember that time? I got nothing past that.
We should get an intern.
Now is the time.
What's the legality on that?
Oh, that intern has to listen to every hour of this. What are we at now, Chris? 180 some odd episodes?
100 and I believe this is 127 when it'll come out.
Oh, I'm way off.
Mike having delusions.
I mean, I think there's probably 5 or 6 outposts in there. So let's and then a couple updates. Let's cool it out at 135.
Yeah, all right. So our intern has to listen to 135 hours of this pod to make sure they get every clip right. I think that's a worthy job.
If you want to be
doing worse things, I put chairs together for a week as an intern once.
If you want
I'm now being resentful toward this imaginary intern for not having it as hard as I do.
Hey, if you want to be the
meanwhile, I was in an office putting chairs together.
If you want to be the droid you're looking for, a Star Wars podcast intern, reach out to us. Droidspod@gmail.com. At Droidspod on Twitter.
I have no idea about the legality in terms of college credits. We certainly cannot pay you money.
And then when you ask us, you said intern, it's IN space TURN. Instagram at Droidspod. Follow us on Facebook. You can go to Facebook, search the Droid you're looking for podcast. Go to YouTube. Just kidding, Ryan.
Well, you can listen to the
you can listen to the pod. You can listen to the pod on YouTube. So go to YouTube, search for the Droid you're looking for podcast. We have them all on there if that's how you listen to things. I think I covered on rate. Like, review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. Does Spotify do reviews? I think they do.
Real quick on the review thing, I'm doing these watercolors. I've done a whole watercolor series on Star Wars. I focus on a character or I do a scene. We're gonna figure out what did we decide, guys? Is it I'm doing a watercolor for somebody out there, and we'll maybe include our existing reviews, but like. What, every 10 reviews? Is that what did we say? So
that sounds good.
every 10 reviews, I'll go through. We'll do a random drawing. We'll reach out to you from the pot, and then you can pick something I'll paint. Or is that what we said? I don't know. We talked about it.
That sounds good. That
it
sounds
has
good.
to be Star Wars related.
That sounds good. So here you go, folks. For every 10 reviews that we get, we will pick from those 10 reviews a random winner, or from all the reviews, we'll pick a random winner from the review pool, and you will receive a custom designed Star Wars. Was it watercolors? You doing watercolors?
Yeah, I do watercolors.
Watercolor print, made by Sam himself. Very talented. We'll put some pictures up.
Well, you can see them on our Instagram.
On our
now
Instagram,
as well.
yep. We got them on our Instagram at Droidspod. So take a look at those, and if you want one of those, we're not guaranteeing those will be the ones you get, but you'll get one of those. So really send those reviews out.
You get a custom one.
You're gonna
get a custom. Yeah,
you're gonna get a new.
I'm just
custom.
saying,
it's not a print.
So
it's a
you
painting.
say to Sam, "I want
Yeah.
Obi-Wan," and Sam paints you an Obi-Wan.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying you're not gonna get the ones that are in the Instagram thing. Those are mine.
But you do have to talk to you do have to talk to all four of us to figure out what you're getting and when and how.
And maybe you'll get a custom coin
I
too.
handle
Who
shipping
knows?
addresses, but Mike handles the zip codes. I don't like to touch zip codes.
Well, before we wrap up this pod, real quickly, guys, we do want to say sad news out of the Star Wars universe. Dialect coach and actor Andrew Jack, who was in The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, also the voice of Moloch in Solo: A Star Wars Story, passed away at 76 and due to coronavirus. And I think there was wide support out of the Star Wars community, just people voicing their sadness for the loss of this great actor and who contributed so much to Star Wars. So take a moment and just pass on our thoughts as well to his family and friends.
Yeah, it's very sad, and obviously very sad times for a lot of people. So, to his family and friends, to anyone suffering right now, we're thinking of you. This is very difficult stuff.
I think to borrow a phrase, and I've always said it's something Star Wars fans have, the Force will be with us.
And that will do it for this week's edition of the Droids You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast. We promise we're not pulling a Matt Damon. We'll be here next week. We will be doing part 4 of our breakdown of Duel of the Fates. The final conclusions, we talk about the third act of that film in our next episode. That will do it for this week of the Droids You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast.
What they throw? Annie? All right, and 1, 2, 3, we can make sounds.
No, wait, we just got to go back. We got to start this over.
Why?
Because
What do you mean, why?
No, Ryan. No, I think Ryan can do it. You can do that, right?
I snapped.
that together.
The snap point was still in there.
just
over Mike's thing. The truth of the matter is that I actually can. It's fine.
No. All right, start over. Start up. Chris. You can sing at any point.
It's true. We're fine. We're fine.
all right. So let's just do the noises and we'll go from there.
All right.
Yeah.
Sam?
No.
I was looking at my
This has all got to go at the end.
All right. End slate. All right.